Okay, so first we both had predictions about the story of an hour just by the title. I said that I think this is going to be a rough hour for the main character since it's a short story of all these emotions just happening in 1 hour, so probably something traumatic happened.
And I said that there is probably a woman dealing with some problems that happens within an hour
Okay,
or a short time.
so we're just going to read the story and stop when we made an annotation. Knowing that Miss Mallard was afflicted with a heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her as gently as possible the news of her husband's death. So we first did a DI, which is, what's a DI again? Sorry, determining importance, yeah. So we knew that it was very important that they had to break this news gently because it's a news of death. So her heart troubles had to do with why it had to be gentle because
She was struggling too.
yeah. It was her sister Josephine who told her in broken sentences, veiled hints that revealed in half concealed. Her husband's friend Richards was there too, near her. It was he who had been in the newspaper office when intelligence of the railroad disaster was received, when Bentley Mallard's name leading the list of killed. He had only taken the time to assure himself of its truth by a second telegram, and had hastened to forestall any less careful, less tender friend in bearing the sad message.
So what we thought about this paragraph was that we had a visualization and that you could really tell that he was shocked about his death and telling Miss Ballard that or Mallard that her husband was dead.
Like you could just see someone knocking on the door kind of thing, giving a telegram like you've seen in the old movies and stuff. So the next couple of paragraphs we didn't really feel anything. This was just like really descriptive. So I'm just gonna skip to where we felt something again. She sat with her head thrown back upon the cushion of the chair, quite motionless, except when a sob came up into her throat and shook her, as a child who has cried itself to sleep and continues to sob in its dreams. So this we drew a conclusion that she's just kind of numb to this news that would probably destroy someone. Like you wouldn't stop crying, you would keep thinking, but she just kind of laid there motionless and like
Just didn't know what to think about the situation.
So she was young with a fair calm face whose lines bespoke repression, and even a certain strength, but now there was a dull stare in her eyes, whose gaze was fixed away off yonder on one of those patches of blue sky. It was not a glance of reflection, but rather indicated a suspension of intelligent thought.
So we had a question, and it was, why did she not reflect on her husband's life? Like, why wasn't she like thinking about what he had done and what had gone on in his life?
She's just kind of looking out the window, and we're wondering why there's no thoughts while she's looking out the window. So we skipped another paragraph here. Now her bosom rose and fell tumultuously. She was beginning to recognize this thing that was approaching to possess her, and she was striving to beat it back with her will, as powerless as her two white, slender hands would have been. So here we had a prediction that this is probably the sadness that's coming to her, that she doesn't want to encounter it. That's why it talks about her two hands, like she can't push it away. They're just powerless.
She's just really avoiding the situation.
Yeah. When she abandoned herself, a little whispered word escaped her slightly parted lips. She said it over and over under her breath, free, free, free. The vacant stare and the look of terror that had followed it went from her eyes. They stayed keen and bright. Her pulses beat fast, and the coursing blood warmed and relaxed every inch of her body.
We were really shocked that she really didn't like feel anything. She kind of felt joy that her husband was dead. Didn't really know like what to do. She was really relaxed and kind of like felt warm that her husband was dead.
And this kind of answered our prediction, I guess, that it was wrong because she's still not sad. Like we thought the sadness was coming, but turns out it wasn't that. So she did not stopped to ask if it were or were not a monstrous joy that held her. A clear and exalted perception enabled her to dismiss the suggestion as trivial. So here we just needed some clarification. Is she joyful? Is she not? Like it says that it held, it says that she stopped to ask if it was joy or not, but it kind of doesn't really answer our question to us. So she knew that she would weep again when she saw the kind, tender hands folded in death, the face that had never looked save with love upon her, fixed and gray and dead. But she saw beyond that bitter moment a long procession of years to come that would absolutely belong to her. She opened and spread her arms out to welcome them.
So we drew a conclusion that it was unclear if she was happy or not to be widowed because she's just kind of not being very clear on how she feels.
But she's obviously very happy to be alone because she's welcoming the next years. There would be no one to live for her during those coming years. She would live for herself. There would be no powerful will bending her arms in that blind persistence with which men and women believe that they have the right to impose a private will upon a fellow creature. A kind intention of a cruel intention made the act seem no less a crime as she looked upon it in that brief moment of illumination. So here we made an inference that she's probably never going to love again. We kind of read between the lines there because it just says that she's going to live for herself. So that would mean she's not going to find anybody else. And yet she loved him sometimes, often she had not. What did it matter? What could love, the unsolved mystery, count for in the face of this possession of self-assertion which she suddenly recognized as the strongest impulse of her being? Free, body and soul free, she kept whispering.
We had a sentence relationship of self-assertion. She made her, self-assertion made her feel free from being held back from her husband, so her husband's death kind of let her be free, be who she wants to be. She can be whatever she needs to.
They're just kind of related to each other, and we noticed that. So I skipped that paragraph. Go away, I'm not making myself ill. No, she was drinking in a very elixir of life through that open window. So here we made an author's craft where they used, I think we said like a metaphor, because she's not literally drinking life through that window. It's just kind of an expression, but it helps add a feeling to the story because, yeah. Oh. I'm just gonna skip a little part of this paragraph, and it was only yesterday she had thought with a shudder that life might be long.
So I had a text
Text
to self because when I was playing a sport in high school, I ended up not liking it at all. And I really wanted to quit, but my family would not let me. So once I did end up quitting, it kind of freed me from that responsibility and just made my life so much more different. Just like it has happening in here in the story. She has a husband and now she doesn't, so it's kind of a responsibility off her chest to live free now.
Okay. She arose at length and opened the door to her sister's importunities. There was a feverish triumph in her eyes, and she carried herself unwittingly like a goddess of victory. She clasped her sister's waist, and together they descended the stairs. Richard stood awaiting for them at the bottom. Here I had a monitoring comprehension. I was reading this out loud, and we both like kind of got confused because you trip over your words there because it's such a descriptive sentence. You kind of forget what they're describing. So we just reread that and understood it, kind of breaking it up sentence by sentence. So here we had a very shocking moment. I'm just going to skip there. It's when Bentley Mallard entered. He had been far from the scene of the accident and did not even know there had been one. He stood amazed at Josephine's piercing cry, at Richard's quick motion to screen him from the view of his wife.
we were just really surprised that he actually ended up being alive after her going through all this situation where she's so happy that he's dead and that she's filled with joy and thinks she's free from life, that he is like, it's just a shock that he ends up being alive instead of dead.
Then, but Richards was too late. When the doctors came, they said she had died of heart disease, of joy that kills. Here we had patterns of organization, and it was kind of like a cause and effect through the both those paragraphs, like because he didn't die, she did. And she really was just overjoyed before, and then
Was so shocked that he was
yeah,
alive.
it was sad that he was alive. So her heart, as they said earlier, she had heart disease. So yeah.